do you ever have to take a beat for yourself to get out of a character, or is it something that you can just kind of slip into?
Yeah, it definitely depends on like what kind of character I'm playing.
Hmm.
Like for this character, for Terry on Real Love, whenever they'd say cut, I would like switch voices like back to like who I actually am.
Yeah.
And then I remember someone making a comment and they were like, "Wow, Princess, like I could hear you like switch between yourself and the character. Like it's so interesting." And I was like, "Yeah, like I didn't even realize, but it was just like I just went back to my authentic self."
Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by me, Chris. Welcome, 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 everybody, to episode number 511. Fantastic episode for you all today. Again, um, if you haven't been keeping up with my social media, the Pod Shop, where you can get some awesome merch for the podcast. I'm running uh, I don't. It's not a special, but I have Pride gear that's available this month, and for every piece of Pride gear sold, I'm going to make a donation to the Trevor project, and I'm super excited to be able to do that, and it's coming out of my own pocket. So make sure to pick up something that you like, and then tag me in the post, and I can make a donation in your name. So again, castingfor2.com is the place to go to. But I need to talk about my guest. My guest is a phenomenal, just actress who is just a ray of sunshine. Princess Davis is on the podcast today, and she was just in the premiere of a show called Strength of a Woman. No, Strength of a Woman is coming up. Real Love is the one that just premiered, and she's just phenomenal. I had a lot of fun chatting with Princess, and I know you all are gonna enjoy the conversation. So everybody, sit back, relax, and Princess, take it away. Where are you currently, like location wise? Where are you at?
I'm in Vancouver right now.
Oh, okay, okay. Are
Yeah.
you are you from born and raised in BC or?
Oh yeah, so I was born in
Mm,
Toronto, but then we moved to BC like really early, like when I was like 3 years old or something.
oh,
So no, when I was like 3 months or like 6 months. So basically I grew up in Vancouver my whole life, but yeah, I was originally from Toronto.
gotcha. Okay, okay. And do you? I know. There's a huge acting community and just so many projects going on. But do you ever have like, oh, maybe I should go to New York, or I want to go to LA or Georgia?
Oh yeah.
Any of those places?
I really want to go back to Toronto to
Mm,
film things. I just love Toronto. I feel so connected to it just because,
mm.
I was born there. So just like if I get an opportunity to film in Toronto, I think it would be a dream come true. But also like, New York would be super cool or Atlanta.
Mm.
Um, if anything could take me to Paris, I mean, that'd be super cool as well.
There we,
Yeah.
yeah. It's you know that's one of the things that I'm just really. I spent some time in Victoria. That's where I went to school,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
there was just this nice sense of, okay, we're not the only people in the world. Here's like a world view, and all that good stuff. Versus in America, it's very much America driven. Where I'm going is that, oh, it'd be great to go to Paris and do projects over there because I we don't see enough of that here. And
Exactly.
obviously, Canada and French, goes hand in hand, but still, yeah, it's just nice to have this worldly view of like, oh, okay, I can do other work in other parts of the world. Uh,
Exactly.
and I was telling my girlfriend that Canadians are able to work in other places easier than it is for Americans to go work somewhere outside of America. And I'm just like,
Really? I didn't
oh,
know that.
yes. So my buddy, who was a backpacker and all that. He's like, oh yeah, I worked in Australia because I have a Canadian passport and all that, and it's easier to get work because you're part
Oh
of
wow,
the world basically, so you can go anywhere and work anywhere and get a work visa easier. So
that's so cool.
yeah,
Awesome.
so you can go to Paris. All that to say that you can absolutely do it, and I believe in you.
Perfect. Dream come true. I can't wait.
But so and one thing that this is a pretty loose show and we can talk about anything. But I'm very curious when you caught the acting bug.
Ooh, yeah. So, it actually started when I was like 3 years old
Mm,
or something like that, around there. But I was watching like Disney Channel, as you do when you're
yeah.
young. And I remember like just like looking at the TV, and I thought it was like really magical.
Mm,
I didn't really understand like they were actors. I just thought like the whole setup was just very magical, and I just wanted to be a part of it like so badly. Like this with my whole heart, I wanted to do whatever they were doing.
mm-hmm.
So then my mom like she enrolled me as like a background performer when I was really
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
So when I was like 4, 3, 5, 6, 7, I was kind of doing background acting and just
Mm-hmm.
like being on set and just like watching everyone do their thing and just being so in love. And then when I was like 12, I did my first acting class.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I was like, okay, like this is so cool. And that's when things started picking up. Like I got an agent, started auditioning a lot more. And then that was kind of like I trained a lot. I went to a lot of like different acting schools,
Mm-hmm.
and after high school I went to like an acting college, like an acting institution university thing. So I have two diplomas, which is really nice.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, that was how I kind of got into acting.
That's so cool that if there's one group of people that should get good credit, it's background actors and all that because that's just one of the easiest ways to get on set. But you can really
Hmm.
learn a lot, and just because obviously, yeah, like you said, you're just kind of surrounded by everything, and you can take everything in. And I remember after I graduated, I was just like, I don't know how to get on set. Oh, I'll be a
Mm.
background actor and just appear and stuff and just take everything in and all that good stuff. So yeah, if I could, I would still be doing stuff like that because it's just fun.
Yeah,
Um,
it was definitely fun for me.
yeah, well, and so going with acting, is there a particular like do you want to have you done like theater acting like stage stuff?
Yeah. So in high school, I did a lot of like theater productions.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite role was like Sue Bayless and All My Sons, by
Mm,
Arthur Miller. I really loved that role. And then when I went to so after high school, I went to that acting school I was telling you about.
mm-hmm.
It was Vancouver Acting School, and then they had two programs. So one of them was like a film, TV, and voiceover diploma program.
Mm.
So that was like for 6 months. I did that, and then after I went to like the theater conservatory program.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was like 9 months. So the whole thing was like theater, theater, theater. So yeah, I have like a big background in theater with
I,
that program.
yeah, I mean it's cool that you were able to just surround yourself with different styles. TV, film, voiceover is just,
Hmm.
especially during the pandemic, just like
Hmm.
everyone. Like I don't. It just felt like, oh, okay, work doesn't stop because voiceover work, and I'll just go in a closet and get a microphone, and it'll all be good. But
Exactly.
but then yeah, I've just is there one and I don't want to say that don't like any of the styles, but is there one that you're just like, ooh, I wish I could do more of this as far as acting
Well,
goes?
yeah, well, film and TV is like definitely like my number one.
Mm,
But I do voiceover as well. So I think like I'd love to be like more ingrained in that, I
mm,
think.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I do it like once in a while. But then like acting things come up, and then there's too many conflicts and stuff.
Mm.
But I definitely love to be like on a voiceover show. I think that'd be like a series, because
Yeah.
I've been guest stars and stuff like that here, but I think a series, like a voiceover series, would be so cool.
Do you have any kind of tips to preserving your voice?
That's a great one. I lose my voice a lot, I find, especially doing voiceover stuff, because the characters I book are typically either like really high pitched
Mm.
or they're just like really low.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like navigating that for me. But I think like salt water, like gargling salt
Oh,
water really
mm-hmm.
helps me. Like lemon and ginger, tea really helps me. Just like a lot of like liquids, like a lot of like water. But like when you're before filming, I think is the most important time to take care of yourself,
Mm.
especially. But yeah, that's what I do when I'm like terrified of losing my voice the night before or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Before you said gargling salt water, I thought you were just gonna say, "Oh yeah, drinking salt water." Just I was like, "Wait, what?" Oh, okay, but yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, uh, I've talked to a couple of voice actor people, and it's just I've done this podcast for almost 10 years. It's never occurred
Mhm.
to me that I should probably kind of save my voice because I kind of need it. Even though I'm not doing anything high pitched or I'm just talking. But yeah, there now that I'm getting older, there are a couple times where and I'm like, what's going on here? And so me personally, I'm like, what are some tips and tricks so that I don't, I don't know, it doesn't sound like I passed away years ago when I'm on the
Oh
podcast and
no.
talking. I'm just like, oh, geez. Um, but yeah, no, I have a buddy, a good buddy who is also trying to get into VO, and he just tells me
Mm,
all the stuff that he's been doing, and I'm just like, man, it's uh yeah, there's just so much stuff now that yeah, a show will come up, and I know you're gonna get it. I know it. I have a feeling.
for sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course,
Yeah.
and so kind of going from your acting, getting your the diplomas and going through all that process. I'm curious, what is your process for getting into a character?
Oh, that's a great one. So actually, during the pandemic,
Mm.
I spent a lot of time watching like, the master classes, like
Oh
the
yeah.
master
Hmm.
class. Yeah, so I like there was Jodie Foster, Samuel L. Jackson, Helen Miller, I think it is. But I remember just like watching all their things, and then I made a book, like a like a book of like my own process.
Yeah.
So whenever I get a new like character, I have this whole like kind of checklist thing that I go through, and it really really helps me just like check all my boxes and just kind of cement the character in.
Hmm.
So I do have like a thorough like checklist thing. But I make a backstory. I definitely like my favorite thing is like finding the character within my body, like how
Mm.
the character would move and how she
Mm.
would sound like, because a lot of my characters sound different, I find.
Hmm.
Um, but definitely like, if she's in her body, does she lay back a lot? Like, is she uptight? Is she rigid? Like, where does her energy sit? Like, is it in her torso? Is it like up in her chest? What's her pitch of her voice? Is she more tomboy? Is she more relaxed? Is she super girly? So I like to find that, and because I think it really helps me just like find consistency in the character, and
Hmm.
especially like I'm just able to find a really authentic character that way.
Hmm.
Um, I pull from people I know if I think the character looks like anyone. Actually, for this movie, for Mary J. Blige's Real Love,
Mm.
my character was very like tomboy and very just like in her body, very hip. So I spent a lot of my time watching like Aaliyah and Mary
Mm.
J. Blige actually, and Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
would just like watch
yeah.
how they move. I'd watch how they speak, what they would wear. Like where their energy would sit in their body, and they had a lot of swag.
Mm.
So like I would just like try to bring that daily. This like idea of swag, whatever it means to me in the character. And I like to find just like creative like in between moments that make like that make my character a lot more interesting. Just like
Yeah.
little things that she do, little ticks or whatever. Yeah, that's my
I
process.
oh,
Something like that.
I love that, and I'm a huge supporter of Missy Elliott, and I feel like
Mm,
anybody who does any character, Missy Elliott is the gateway into whatever character it is. I don't care if it's a period piece or what. Missy Elliott will get you there. Um,
Heck
and
yeah.
respect for her music videos and her dancing. It's no, a lot of Missy love over here.
Hmm.
And so let's say you're on set. You've done your acting, your character checklist, and they call cut, and okay, that's a wrap for the day. Do you ever have to take a beat for yourself to get out of a character, or is it something that you can just kind of slip in and out of?
Yeah, it definitely depends on like what kind of character I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like for this character, for Terry on Real Love, she was very much like close to who I actually am. She was very energetic and
Mm-hmm.
she was like fully herself, and she was like, this wild, energetic child that everyone kind of loved. Um, but like she talks differently than I do. Like we had a
Mm-hmm.
different way of speaking. So I remember whenever Da Vinci actually brought this up, who Da Vinci plays Ben in Real Love. But whenever they'd say cut, I would like switch voices like back to like who I actually am.
Yeah.
And then I remember someone making a comment and they were like, wow, Princess, like I could hear you like switch between yourself and the character. Like it's so interesting. And I was like, yeah, like I didn't even realize, but it was just like I just went back to my authentic self. But I did another movie, The Gift of Peace, last year, and that character was a lot more shy and she was like
Mm-hmm.
subdued and she was really sad all the time. So when it would cut, if it was like a day where there was like a heavy scene, a lot of like like heavy emotions, I would stay in it because my process just works the best that way.
Mm-hmm.
So then, I would be like to myself a lot more and like a lot more reserved just to, save my energy and be able to use it for the scene.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a moment where, I don't know, let's say, you're not on set, you're just kind of at home chilling or whatever, where, something that, or you do something that, you came up as a character, like it just kind of slips out or comes out, whether in your talking or a
Yeah.
mannerism or something like that?
Yeah, actually, for sure. Let's see. I think for Real Love, it happened a lot more
Mm-hmm.
and for Strength of a Woman because especially just like with the cast members,
Mm-hmm.
we all got along so well and our characters all just clicked with us so well. So whenever I'd leave, sometimes I'd still like, especially towards the end of filming, I'd still like kind of act like my character in a way. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I, I was like, what's happening? This isn't me. Um, but back to the Gift of Peace, I've had some days where, after leaving like a heavy scene, I go home and I'm just not, like mentally myself still.
Mm-hmm.
So I like hang out with my family and stuff, and it kind of helps like melt the day away.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, and there's no right or wrong answer, but in your opinion, what makes a good role?
That makes a great wall.
Yeah,
That's a
and
nice
do you
one.
have any examples?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see. I think a good role like challenges you. I think it
Mm,
challenges the audience to, to realize the fragility of life. I
mm,
think that makes a great role. Um, an example was The Gift of Peace. I remember when I got the audition, I was just like, so The Gift of Peace it's a movie about it's about like grief during the holidays.
mm,
So when I got the audition, I was like going through a grief of my own and I was kind of like in a weird place. And then I got this audition and the character kind of felt exactly how I felt in the moment.
mm,
So it was very cool and very just weird and wild, like expressing that character because I understood it so well. And I think a great role makes you understand yourself a lot more. Makes you challenge yourself a lot more, challenge your beliefs.
mm,
Um, and I think, and I definitely experienced that, like when I did The Gift of Peace, because every day was like going through this cycle of grief for my character and like
mm,
sitting with it and like letting it go, which was really nice.
mm.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I love that that answer, but I'm just curious. For something like The Gifted Piece, and you saying how there was a lot of grief that you were going through. Do you ever are you able to watch back your performance, like just take yourself out of the project and just kind of watch it?
Like on the day or like when it comes out?
When it comes out, it's been like, I don't know,
Mhm.
weeks, months later, and it just happens to be on. Are you
Yeah.
able to just like, oh, okay, I'm sure I'm in this, but let's watch. Or
Yeah, so I actually watched The Gift of Peace with my family. We all
hmm
like got together to watch it.
hmm
And and like I have a scene that's like completely so heartbreaking and my whole family started crying and I
oh,
was like bawling my eyes out. So it was definitely like we were watching it, but we were like healed but broken at the same time. So it was like this weird cycle. But it was I love watching the things that I'm in because it's been my dream for forever.
right.
So yeah.
Oh, okay. And then again, part two, because I'm so curious. When you're watching back, do you ever have glimpse or like memories of, oh man, I had to go to this place for that character?
Yeah, I definitely do all the time. I'm like, oh, I remember this day. I remember the feeling. There was a scene where it's one of my scenes where my character like she's crying a lot
Mm.
and there was a helicopter going like over our set in the middle of my monologue and I'm bawling. So the director goes, "Cut." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So then we're like pause and there's tears still coming and we're paused for like a minute and then we just pick it up again and it was like a boot camp of like being able to stay in the character and like
Yeah.
stay in that moment. But like I watched it and I remembered like thinking, holy crap, this is happening. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry for that helicopter. Again, I had nothing to do with that, but yeah, I'm glad that you were able to get through that. Um, but for the
Thank you.
people, of course, for the people at home who'd like to keep up with everything that you're doing online, follow you, all that good stuff. Where can they do all that?
Well, my Instagram is I am Princess Davis because I am Princess Davis.
There you
So
go.
that's my handle. Great. And my Twitter is the same thing. And those are the two social media platforms I have.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, Princess, thank you so much for chatting with me. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing what other projects you have coming in the pipeline, and yeah, and hopefully no helicopters fly over your scenes. That's all. That's all I got.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you.
you.
But you have a wonderful rest of your day and keep staying safe and healthy. Okay.
You too. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.